We start this hour with breaking news from here at the BBC, actually. The BBC announcing that Gary Lineker will be leaving the corporation now, sooner than originally planned. It's understood that bosses considered his position untenable after he posted an image on social media that was considered to be anti-Semitic.
It's the worst thing I've seen in my lifetime. I've seen so many images of children that, I've got no skin in this game. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Israeli. I'm not Palestinian. So I see it, I think, purely from the outside, as from a neutral perspective. And I can't think of anything that I've seen worse in my lifetime. The constant images of children losing their lives day in, day out. Now they're talking about, it already looks like it's happening, going into Rafah, where they've sent everybody down there. So, I don't think you can be, it's not anti-Semitic to say that what Israel is doing is wrong. And I just can't see how everybody doesn't see it that way now. I cry on a regular basis when I see certain images on social media.
Last week, he reshared a post on social media which referred to Zionism and also which included an image of a rat. Now, the rodent has historically been used as an anti-Semitic insult. He quickly deleted the post and later apologised, saying he hadn't realised the significance of that and he would never knowingly post anything anti-Semitic.
I hate interviews. I don't try not to do press because I've got an ulterior motive. It's always about them.
This is Miss Rachel, hanging out with her new friend Rahaf. Miss Rachel is like YouTube's Mr. Rogers, with millions of subscribers and billions of views.
Can you nod yes?
And Rahaf is a 3-year-old double amputee from Gaza. She lost her legs when her home was bombed, and months later was medically evacuated to the U.S.
إحنا رايحين على أمريكا عشان نكمل العلاج.
Miss Rachel saw a video of the little girl, now living with her mom and a host family in Missouri, watching her show.
She's just so precious. Hopping like a bunny, and she was kind of hopping on the couch.
And arranged to have Rahaf come visit her in New York.
You want people to think that you were honest and kind and all the obvious virtues, don't you? Well, I'd like people to remember me as a good soul, I suppose. A nice chap who did well. I know it's a difficult one because it sounds like I'm sort of suggesting to you what I think I'm like. But I think the same as everyone else, really. You want people to think you're a decent guy who didn't, hurt anyone, and hopefully, if there was a cosmic balance, I'd like to think I made the world a slightly better place than a slightly worse place. When you hire a caravan for a week, my mum used to say, leave it as you found it, if not better. So I sort of think of that, really. Did I do slightly more good than bad? Although, problem with that is, you got serial killers who did a lot for charity.
We have to remember, George, that Gary Lineker has been subject to an Israel lobby campaign, as the highest paid employee of the BBC. He was subject to this campaign for several years. Now, that campaign was led by UK Lawyers for Israel, which it has to be remembered when it was originally registered on Companies House in October 2010, it was registered as quote-unquote Action for Peace. However, in May 2011, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs had a post on its site dedicated solely to the creation of the UK Lawyers for Israel. It later on, of course, hosted a 2-day seminar with the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Israeli Embassy in London, and of course, hosted several speakers from the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. it is essentially an arm of the Israeli government. And the head of this organization, which has militated against Gary Lineker for so many years, Jonathan Turner, actually has gone on record as saying that the blockade of Gaza will actually help decrease obesity and thus increase life expectancy in Gaza. Just so you have an understanding of what type of maniacs we are actually dealing with. UK Lawyers for Israel went as far as bullying an NHS hospital to take, or lobbying an NHS hospital, I should say, to take children from Gaza's artwork out of the hospital. I mean, it's just beyond belief. They've even had a role in editing textbooks in this country on the content that relates to Palestine. But the bigger question, George, as you will well know, is what exactly is happening at the BBC. Now, you have to remember that currently in a key position at the BBC, in charge of, according to the BBC website, upholding and protecting the independence of the BBC, is Robbie Gibb. Now, who is Robbie Gibb? Robbie Gibb is, simultaneous to his job at the BBC, the sole director and owner of Jewish Chronicle Media. Now, the Jewish Chronicle, which was found to be producing stories that seem to come directly from Benjamin Netanyahu's office, is a well-established pro-Israel smear factory, which has smeared yourself, I'm sure, hundreds of times, smeared me tens of times, and pretty much anyone who supports the Palestinian cause has, of course, been written about in derisive tones by the Jewish Chronicle. Now, surely that is a clear conflict of interest for Robbie Gibb to have this role at the BBC, supposedly upholding independence at the same time as being the director and owner of the Jewish Chronicle. But his conflicts of interest actually go farther, George. So on his personal declaration of private interests, Robbie Gibb stated that he currently has a job at Kesk CNC, which is a PR company. So he's employed by this PR company, which was founded by a chairman of the Weizmann Institute in Israel, Gershon Kesk, at the same time as he's employed by the BBC. Surely, being employed by a PR company and a news company, these things would rub up against each other. But what also needs to be stated is that Kesk is a subsidiary of the Publicis Group. Now, the Publicis Group, according to its CEO, has staff that are currently in the Israeli military fighting in Gaza. Again, a massive conflict of interest. Also, Gibb has a paid role at JL Partners, which was founded by James Johnson, a pollster for Theresa May, and Tom Lubbock, a former pollster for the Conservative Party under Boris Johnson. But then you get to the question of the BBC's online Middle East editor, the very individual behind those headlines, which essentially put Palestinian deaths at the hands of Israeli soldiers in the passive voice and work to sort of invisibilize the Israeli bombs that fall on Palestinians. Well, who is that? That is Rafi Berg. Now, Rafi Berg is somebody that collaborated with Israeli intelligence personnel in order to write a book about them, and then was so happy with Benjamin Netanyahu's response that he framed the letter from Benjamin Netanyahu and put it on his wall. And that's right next to a framed picture of himself with the Israeli ambassador to the UK at the time, Mark Regev. This is the person that is editing the headlines regarding Palestine and Gaza in the BBC. But I've also looked into it, George, and found several people who were employed by the BBC after being in the Israeli occupation forces. So, for instance, there's an individual by the name of Ronnie Belenki. She was a project manager at the BBC after being a commander in the Israeli military. There was even an individual by the name Eli Ovitz, who claimed to be an assistant producer for the BBC at the same time as being a spokesperson for the Israeli military. You also had Bar Ben Youssef, who was somebody that was a BBC scriptwriter after being a soldier in the Israeli military, and someone by the name of Shirona Partem, who was a BBC news producer after being in the Israeli military. And another glaring conflict of interest was Mark Berg, who went from being a BBC editor to then going and being director of BICOM, Israel's largest lobby group in this country. And guess what he did after several years working as director of BICOM? He went back to the BBC and worked on the show Hard Talk, for example, and other key BBC shows. So really what we're talking about here, George, is what happened to Gary Lineker being a symptom of corporation capture. We are seeing clearly that Israel has pro-Israel forces deeply embedded within the BBC who will be working lock in step with the Israel lobby outside of the BBC to engineer something like what has happened to Gary Lineker.
We didn't have a choice. We didn't choose to exist. We just, you know, we're the result of like 3.5 billion years of evolution. The chance of being born like 400 million to 1. It's great. It's a one-off. We'll never exist again. We didn't exist for like 13.5 billion years, and now we got 80, 90, 100 years, if we're lucky. And then we don't exist again. There's no point to it. As an individual point, you've got to find your reason to carry on living, and that's loads of reasons. There's loads of reasons to make the most of this crazy chance, you know, learning stuff, playing, friends, you know, just try and find out as much about the world and enjoy every minute that you can. Whatever makes you happy, do that without hurting anyone.
The British Labour government, which has backed Israel's every move all this time, now trying to persuade us that they think Netanyahu is going too far. Do you believe them?
Well, actually, George, as has been found, there were more arms shipments to Israel carried out by the Labour government than there were by the Conservative government. For starters, we know that Britain has sent the R1 Shadow spy plane on the top of Gaza, even just a few hours after David Lammy's theatrical speech in Parliament yesterday. We know that everyone from Lammy to Keir Starmer have been funded by key Israel lobbyists like Trevor Chin and others. And also on top of this, we know that through Akwatiri, Britain is sharing intelligence with Israel and has been helping it. One of the specialities of the R1 Shadow spy plane is target acquisition. So we have to even wonder, in the cases where British citizens were killed by the Israeli military on the very same day that you had the British spy planes over the top of Gaza, what type of culpability are we talking about here? These people are attempting to legally cover their backs. But also it's worth noting that the UK Foreign Office admitted that at least 80 British nationals were in the Israeli military just a month before October 7th. You've got an individual like Sam Sank, who filmed himself fighting in Gaza between December 2023 and January 2024. This was someone that also met Boris Johnson as an Israeli soldier. You've got other figures like Hani Volker. This is a British citizen who has been there fighting for Israel. Daniel Menza, and even the son of Lord Wolfson, a Conservative peer in the House of Lords. But you have to remember, George, that this is also a structural arrangement. You have an organization like Garan Tazaba, which directly facilitates the journey of people from outside of the Israeli entity into it to join the military, and sometimes even without having citizenship in Israel. So Garan Tazaba has offices in Finchley in this country and is still operating from here. But overall, we've looked into it, George, and we have found around 5 to 6 charities in this country directly materially supporting the Israeli military and its soldiers throughout the genocide. Now, what are those charities? Firstly, there's the UK Friends of the Association for the Wellbeing of Israel's Soldiers. Now, that is headed by the former head of British forces in Iraq and Afghanistan, Richard Kemp. And that organization has literally built swimming pools for Israeli soldiers not far from the torture camp of Sidi Tayman, where you've seen Palestinians by Israeli forces.
It's RFK Jr. Now, if you're not familiar with him, it's probably because he ran for president and nobody cared.
Bowie to kick it off, and Heroes. That was Paul Hamilton said play some Bowie at the start. So I did. Chose Heroes, obviously for all the nurses and doctors on the front line, everyone working for NHS, not just hospital workers, but, you know, everyone who's just carrying on in hard times, not whinging. They're not whinging. Who's whinging? Celebrities, millionaire celebrities.
We're familiar with him because he's done a whole mess of crazy stuff, including, but not limited to, admitting to dumping a dead bear in Central Park as a prank, living with an emu who would regularly attack his wife, owning 2 ravens who meditate with him every morning, bragging about his freezer full of roadkill, and beheading a whale, then strapping it to the roof of his minivan for a 5-hour drive home.
Yeah. I mean, it is embarrassing, isn't it? It is embarrassing.
Now, that sounds deranged, but he actually has a good reason for all of this. A worm got into his brain and ate a portion of it and then died. This is who Donald Trump wants to put in charge of our nation's health.
When you see these multi-millionaire entertainers, I'm sad again. Why? I'm not on the telly.
Robert F. Kennedy cares more about human beings and health and the environment than anybody. I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines.
Oh, good. Because that's exactly how I like my medicine. Wild. It's just like the directions on the pill bottle say, go crazy balls every 2 to 4 hours with food.
And it's not that I've got nothing against those people. They're all right. It wasn't that it was an awful product. It was awful. Right? It was the fact that with some of them, and this is always the case with sort of celebrity endorsement or charity, you know, you can't knock people for doing stuff for charity. It's a good thing. But it's when you look into their eyes and you can tell they're going, I am such a good person for doing this. I could cry at how good a person I am for giving up my valuable time, and my time is so much more valuable than yours. Thank you. So, yeah.
And RFK Jr. is ready for his wilding. Here he is yesterday talking about food deregulation.
Why do we have Fruit Loops in this country that have 18 or 19 ingredients, and you go to Canada and it's got 2 or 3?
I'm sad. I'm not on the telly every night. And if I see another article with a Hollywood actress going makeup free. The fuck? Oh, right, yeah. We're all chipping in, aren't we? Makeup free.
Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the room. There were no worms lining up to eat portions of my brain. But I went to the Kellogg's Canada website, and it turns out the Canadian Fruit Loops actually have 26 ingredients. And that doesn't even count the gravy, which Canadians use to make fruitine.
Oh, God. Oh. But some millionaire celebrities are a bit fed up. Fucking hell. Anyway. Cheers, everyone. Fucking hell. Hello. It's the most wonderful time of the year, so the song goes. We finished our work, we sit by the fire with friends and family and eat and drink way too much. But for some people, it could be one of the worst times of the year. People living rough, haven't got a home and friends and family, and they can't eat and drink as much as they like. So that's why I'm going to wrap this up and go and give it to a tramp. So, probably film it for Instagram, so people know what a great bloke I am. Put some really sad music on it. See his little fucking face light up. Oh, God. Dutch barn. Move on up. Why not? Good advice. Isn't it? If you had to choose one, would you A, never tell another joke in your life? That's impossible. That's impossible. Never taste alcohol again. Can I drink it and hold my nose? I think you mean never. I'll take that as never drink alcohol again. That's tough. Easier than the first one. Never travel beyond Hampstead or your house in the country. That's not that bad. The way honestly, even when I travel to places I really love, I wish they were down the road, or I could teleport myself. Just getting up and getting dressed. Lose all memories of your career since 2001. No, that's the fun bit, isn't it? Looking back at stuff. You know you did a good job, and that's soon. That's all you are, isn't it? Memories when you can't actually do any of that shit anymore. I think never go beyond Hampstead. That's fine, unless something terrible happens to Hampstead, which I don't think it will. Hampstead is one of those places that sort of time forgot. Whatever's happening in the world, it's always okay in Hampstead. So I think it's got to be 3. Then I can tell jokes, drink alcohol, and remember stuff. Although the alcohol. I thought that would be a good advert for alcohol. Sort of like a play on words. Dutch Barn. It helps me forget. Because it does actually, it can affect your memory. I told you I do honest advertising. Just me sat in a bin like that. I drink vodka because it helps me forget. What? That. Imagine that in the Super Bowl. That advert. Me in a bin going, I drink vodka because it helps me forget. What? That. Just that. It cost 40 quid, that advert. Put it on Super Bowl. Well, it probably cost about $1 million to put on Super Bowl, but you know what I mean? They're already regretting giving me the company. If you were a cat like us, would you climb the Christmas tree? Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because if I was a cat like you, I'd be an idiot, wouldn't I? So I would climb the Christmas tree. Merry Christmas. That's not bad, is it? I'll do that. Drink Dutch Barn. Merry Christmas. There's an advert. Another one. It's that easy. It's that easy. And my cat, when I was little, Paddy, Big Tabby, a bit like Pickle, used to eat the lametta. You remember that sort of like stuff that you'd hang on Christmas trees that was like sort of tin foil? It would eat that and throw it up. So we just find these really sort of glamorous, shiny balls of vomit around the house. Liberace spew. Yeah, so I probably would climb the Christmas tree. Is there anyone you met professionally that has surprised you or been different to what you expected? David Bowie springs to mind, just because he was so innovative and I don't know, and he was like alien, and then you meet him and he's a normal bloke from South London. And he's really down to earth and funny, and he knows about stuff. He still knows what's going on. You know, you expect him to be sort of out of touch in some sort of weird lair. Yeah, just a bloke called Davy Jones. That's about it, really. Thanks for following. Yeah, be nice to animals. Tatty bye, everyone. Tatty bye. Triggered, that's the worst bit. I'm triggered. Yeah, we all are. We're all triggered. Live with it.
This was a live report in August last year.
Well, because...
Hey, yo, free Palestine! Free Palestine!
I think, apologies for the language you're hearing, but a sense I think you can hear there. That happened right here during the height of the riots last summer. People from the Muslim community in this part of Birmingham had heard that far-right protesters were on their way, so they'd come out onto the streets to defend them. As we tried to drive away, we were chased by a man with a knife who tried to slash the tyre of one of our vans.
He's gonna us.
What country is in this video? No, it's not Pakistan. That is Wilmslow Road in Manchester, where people celebrate Pakistan Independence Day. Hey, it's good. Just normal British lads in a British city doing British things. Not just Manchester, though. This was Ilford in London. Lads, I've only got one criticism for you. I think your flags are so small. That's better. That's how you do it. Let's just check in on how Birmingham's getting on. Oh, and Birmingham Council got involved. They turned Birmingham Library into a giant Pakistani flag. Lovely stuff. So the council can light up public buildings in the Pakistani flag, but they can't organise bin collections. Oh, I mean, I'm trying not to be dramatic here, but the smell is absolutely overpowering, I'm afraid. There's flies everywhere. Yeah. They're raising council tax and letting the city rot in its own filth, but the Lord Mayor... all the time in the world to hoist the Pakistani flag. The council took down St George's flags from their streets because they said that they could put lives at risk. So they actually took the flag of this country down. Now, last time I was in Birmingham, there were Palestine flags all over the place. And now the Pakistani flag is everywhere as well. Look, hey, I don't know about you, but I'm not really sure that's integration, is it? And you know what puzzles me? Why so many people in Britain are actually celebrating Pakistani independence. You know, I mean, gosh, there are obviously massive human rights issues in Pakistan, aren't there? I'm not sure it's legal to be gay, is it? I don't know how women's rights are getting on in Pakistan. What is the honour-based violence like over there? But hey, what do I know? Happy Pakistan Independence Day, everybody.
A year on, we've come back to talk to people about that day and how they're feeling now. Why did people feel the need to go out on the streets?
The local community had lost faith in the local elected members as well as the local policing units. And they thought that the only way to protect themselves and the community was by coming out in force.
In every community we have our sort of, should we call them idiots, and you can't control their behaviour. There was a concern that the far-right group that was coming may well be armed. So I think we were just trying to counteract what they thought was coming.
Bordesley Green is a majority Muslim area, but these men invited Gerry, who lives here too, to give us a white man's take on what happened.
they were actually stopping cars, and then you can, on the social media output, there's white people in that car.
And chasing them, yeah.
They were looking for what they thought were the enemy, white people, and trying to find white people, which is why I stayed in my house.
We were very clearly there as journalists. We had a broadcast vehicle. I was actually reporting live at the time that it happened. So it was very clear the reason why we were there. So why were we targeted?
It was quite upsetting because obviously you'd seen me about half an hour prior, and then you've seen this, and it was just a handful of mindless individuals. We have them in our community, and you guys have them in your community.
But was it because we are
white
journalists?
No.
It's because we were white.
No, it's not because you're white. It's because they're actually bored. It's boredom, and they wanted a bit of excitement.
If we had all been Asian, would that have happened?
Of course. Yeah. I think it's just, like I said, it's the heat of the moment.
Save our kids! I'm keen to move the conversation on to ask how the current wave of anti-immigration protests that began in Epping have left this community in Birmingham feeling.
I would like to go and join them and stand out.
The anti-immigration
Yeah, and the anti-immigration.
Why?
Because we have this problem within our own communities, and people don't talk about it. We feel exactly the same, and we understand how the English feel with the immigration.
So you're saying you almost want to go and join these protesters. However,
You feel that you're
were
going
you
there.
to walk up to the protesters, what do you think the reaction would be?
Well, this is it. They think I'm an immigrant, born here, 58, and they look at me as a foreigner or a migrant when I walk.
A lot of the crime locally now is caused by a certain diaspora of immigrants that have come into this area.
I believe that the average white guy isn't racist, they're just fed up.
The question is for us now, as people who are born and bred in this country, what is our identity? Who are we? Right? So we, as a white person born in this country, you're automatically accepted. Are we going to be accepted? How many generations will it take for us to be accepted?
Yeah, it really kicked off with my my silly billboard campaign, particularly the ones that were banned. There's some that that couldn't go up in the tube, so we sort of mocked them up, and I tweeted them, and still got complaints. Obviously, we got one complaint. It was the one, don't jump, you'll make everyone late for work, you selfish prick. One bloke wrote to us saying, I just saw this in the tube station, I'm horrified, I was triggered, please can it be taken down? We wrote back saying it was never up. He went, oh, right. Triggered, that's the worst bit. I'm triggered. Yeah, we all are. We're all triggered, live with it. It means you're paying attention. Triggered. I see all these videos now on social media, like 20-year-olds with a nose ring sitting in their car crying because someone got their name wrong in fucking Starbucks. They wrote my name wrong. Right? Fuck me. Triggered.
All right, we got this chick at Starbucks trying to make some sort of point by putting Charlie Kirk as her name on her Starbucks order, and when the employees wouldn't say it out loud and hand delivered it to her, she completely flips out.
So you didn't call his name out? You didn't call the name out? Yeah. She's recording right now. I am. Yep. Why can't she say his last name? What is happening? Why are you being like that to her? Why are you being like, why are you being like this? Yes. Well, okay, why are you being like that to me? I'm not. I actually am making a point, a big point. I actually wrote a very good post prior to this. It's not. I wrote a very good post.
She wrote a very good post. She wrote a very good post to this before she made her point. This chick sucks, man. Sucks. Showing up to Starbucks to torment this poor girl who's probably working to make some extra dollars while she's at college. Cosplaying as Charlie Kirk while you immediately pull your phone out because you know this is going to cause a problem. Just living your entire life based on the internet and what sort of reactions you can garner based on your beliefs that you don't actually care about. You don't really care about freedom of speech and Charlie Kirk and political ideals. You just care about making waves on the internet and bothering some people that you view as the enemy. And then she has the audacity to do this follow-up video where she's crying.
I'm tired of everybody fighting.
Oh, I'm so tired of America being divisive because people like me don't actually care about other people, and I just set out to catch them in gotcha moments that might compromise them at their place of work, so hopefully they'll get fired so I can make a point on the internet that I'm better than them because of my political party. You know how fucking tapped you gotta be to run around town ordering coffee, writing down the name of a man who just got his fucking neck blown off in front of the whole world? Of course she's not gonna say that out loud. That could cause all sorts of problems for myriad reasons. Great SAT word, by the way. It is this sort of bullshit that has nothing to do with your political beliefs and ideology and your party and America and freedom. This is just you being a performative asshole on the internet for attention. For the 4,957,283,612th time, be normal!
I think people are threatened by comedians. I've always said this, like, politicians can stand up and say the most awful things and mean it, whereas a comedian says something and he doesn't mean it, and it almost gets more grief. Like, people are more annoyed that you joke about terrible things than say terrible things and actually mean them. I don't know why that is. Maybe they're jealous that we have such a platform and we can say things that some people are scared to. I don't know why, but I think that's the worst thing. Just people concerned all the time about what you've got to say. But apart from that, it's all good. It's great. It's the best job in the world. So no complaints from me. And if I have got a complaint, I make a joke about it. So yeah, the days are gone now where I do a serious tweet or do a serious interview, and because it's all bad faith. It's horrible. I try not to do any interviews, particularly press now, because they've always got an angle. You're there for different reasons. I'm there to plug a thing. They're there to catch me out or show me up or cause controversy or clickbait. Even a great interview, sometimes the copy editor do a controversial, headline, and it just sort of ruins it. So that's great having your own platform like this. So what I want. I'm usually talking to dogs. I'm not sure I'm making the most of my global platform. Maybe I should be running for office. That's how I use my platform, on a shitty chair that's creaking with a frozen shoulder. But you know me, I don't complain. This is fucking brilliant, you cunts. C-U-N-D, you cunts. You twaps. So, and I don't think, what were they couldn't say anything about that, could they? Even those complaints. So I say fucking cunt, you fucking cunt. I was too close to that one. I have to, shouldn't do that one live. Well, newsreaders, when they try and say Jeremy Hunt, they say Jeremy Cunt. So, buy Dutch Barn so I can afford to make a shitty advert on telly calling people fucking cunts. That's worth it, isn't it? You spend 30 quid. Actually, I think it's 25 at Waitrose. It's all an advert, this, isn't it? It's like the worst infomercial in the world. Right.
Today we publish a white paper on immigration, a strategy absolutely central to my plan for change. that will finally take back control of our borders and close the book on a squalid chapter for our politics, our economy and our country. Take back control. Everyone knows that slogan, and everyone knows what it meant on immigration, or at least that's what people thought. Because what followed from the previous government, starting with the people who used that slogan, was the complete opposite. Between 2019 and 2023, even as they were going round our country, telling people with a straight face that they would get immigration down, net migration quadrupled until in 2023 it reached nearly 1 million. That's about the population of Birmingham, our second largest city. That's not control, it's chaos.
I think the bigger you are, the more you can say what you want. I think we're coming out of it now, but there's been a good few years of ordinary people not being able to say what they want. And some, actors and comedians and artists get in trouble, but I suppose I'm at the stage where I can ignore it and still do and say what I want. So that's good. I mean, free speech is amazing anyway, isn't it? But to have such a platform, that's good. People are always after you, aren't they?
And look, they must answer for themselves. But I don't think that you can do something like that by accident. It was a choice made even as they told you, told the country, they were doing the opposite. A one-nation experiment in open borders, conducted on a country that voted for control. Well, no more. Today, this Labour government is shutting down the lab. The experiment is over. We need to make the wider case on immigration. We welcome migrants. We don't scapegoat them. Low wages, poor housing, poor public services are not the fault of migrants and people who've come here. They're political failure. Political failure. So we have to make the case for the benefits of migration, the benefits of free movement. I want people in this country to be able to go and work abroad, in Europe. And I want people in Europe to be able to come and continue to work here. I want families to be able to live together, whether that's in Europe or here. And I want people in this country, in the United Kingdom, to be able to go and study in Europe, just as they can now, and people in Europe to be able to come and study here. We have to make the case for freedom of movement, and we have to make it strongly.
People like US radio host Alex Jones didn't just sit back. The clip erupted across X, TikTok and Telegram channels, with some users accusing the leaders of drug use in broad daylight. And logic? It was found nowhere remotely in sight. Moscow's foreign ministry also amplified the controversy, calling Europe's future in the hands of drugged figures.
Hello. Pickle's trying to sleep, but I wanted to film her as a thank you to everyone who bought Absolutely Mental Series 2. If you haven't bought Absolutely Mental Series 2, you can. If you haven't bought 1 or 2, you can buy them both at a bargain price. If you haven't bought any of them and don't intend to, thanks anyway for following. and looking at my cat. It's nearly a year since we rescued her. Isn't it, Pickle? Pickle, you can't do this. You're live, and you're just, look, that's a do not disturb. Oh, isn't she lovely? Got a gig tonight, and I, Pickle? The Palladium again. Supernature coming along. Lovely. I think it's my best, but that's not for me to say. What are you going to do tonight, Pick? Just sort of chill. I can't believe how rude you are, Pickle. There's people tuning in here from all over the world. And look, I was going to do, I did a thank you on Instagram. Then because it's a cat and me talking over it. So it's not annoying. Anyway, I've got a low battery as well, so I'm badly prepared here. Oh, Pickle. Still trying to sort out international travel and gigs around the world. I can't stand having to cancel. I'd never cancelled a gig. Been on stage, dying of flu, bad back. I've taken private jets and helicopters. And it's so frustrating. And there's a few more that are in jeopardy because of international travel and visas and what we're allowed to do at the venue and stuff. And it's so frustrating because people have bought tickets. They've had tickets for like a year and a half. And it breaks my heart. But if I have to cancel any more, there's not many to go, but there will be more. It's getting to that point where you don't want people to waste their money on flight and hotel. So I apologise in advance. But just know there was nothing I could do about it. And that I'll come next year, even if it's a different show. And I'm so sorry. But yeah, you can watch this one on Netflix, and then I'll come with a new one if I don't come to your city. Is the show tonight cancelled? Someone said, no. This is international. This is like certain countries are still. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I know the US is I think the US is the worst. We've been trying to put gigs into like bigger venues, like a half capacity, like, but it's just, we're doing everything we can. It's only a few. All the UK ones are going ahead. So yeah, just apologies. But it's not my fault. Of course, it's fucking idiots in charge that can't get their act together, changing their mind at the last minute. But yeah, it's gutting. It's really annoying having to do it. I still, right to the last minute, you think, oh, maybe I could come into this country and get into that way, and then do this, and we could move it to this venue, and we've just tried everything, and sometimes they just won't let you do it. Either I can't get into the country with a visa, or it's so frustrating, and it's still not over, and people are still arguing about who's allowed to travel and what you have to do, and then you can be stuck there in a hotel room for 10 days or something. I can't wait for it all to be over. What a life this cat has got. She doesn't know that. But yeah, if I can't come to your town this year, I'll come next year. Oh. Anyway, in the meantime, watch Afterlife again. That's coming soon. Thanks for downloading Absolutely Mental. And be nice to animals. Tatty bye, everyone. Tatty bye.